Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about try catch and finally. So the how to handle exceptions in Java we will understand after this class. So let us start. So the first thing are the different ways of exception handling in Java. So there are three different ways to handle exceptions in Java. The first one is using the try catch and finally block, and the second one is using the throw keyword, and another one is using the throws keyword. So these keywords we will see in the next lecture, and now in this lecture we are focusing on try catch and finally, which is the basic method to handle the exceptions. So let us start. So let us discuss about try catch block first. So try we can handle exceptions by declaring a try block. Inside that we will have the statements which is throwing the exception, and followed by the try block. We have to specify a catch block or a finally block to handle the particular exception. So in the catch block, we will declare our exception class, and then we will write the message or print the particular exception message into the console, or we will handle the exception like that. So that's how exceptions are getting handled. So you can see the try block, more information about try block. So you can see here. So the catch block is used to handle the errors, and we have to define specifically. We have to write which kind of exception is getting thrown in the program in the catch block, and you will see the syntax of them when we write the program. So let us see more information. Here is another more information about try catch and finally block. Here you can see. And one more thing about this is we can handle multiple exceptions in the catch blocks. So there will be multiple catch block for a particular try that is allowed, and we can handle multiple exceptions in single catch block by using the pipe symbol. So if you use the pipe symbol, why it was laterally introduced into Java, which we discussed in the Java version discussion class. So this is a pipe symbol which is added so that multiple exceptions can be handled at a single line. So we just need one exception object for all the type of exceptions in a single line. Next we will discuss about finally block. So finally block is a block which is used to execute the necessary code of our program. For example, such functionalities such as closing a file and flushing the file, or some so you want to do something. If even if the program terminates, you want to do some task. So those important tasks are written in the finally block, such as closing and that's those kind of tasks. So this is about the finally block. And one more thing about finally block is that it always executes, even if the program throws an exception. The code of the finally block will always execute. So that's about this theoretical aspects of exception and the finally block and catch block and finally block and try block, all these blocks. Let us see some programs based on these. Now let us see a program based on exception handling in Java using try catch block. So here you can see I have an arithmetic exception which is occurring in this program. Before that you can see the syntax of try. We have to declare a try block like this, and inside that we'll have the catch block. Here is a catch block, and this is how we will write the try catch statement in Java. You can see the whatever the exception at occurring statements, the statements you can have to cover it up with the try block, and then in the catch block we will define the particular exception which is getting thrown, and we have to handle the exception by either printing the particular message into the console. And here you can see system.error.println method is there. This is a method to print the error messages, and it will show in red color in the screen when we see the output. Let us see the output of this program. So here you can see the output of this program. One by one, these exception messages are getting printed. First line is the red color, whatever we are using system dot error dot println method we are using to print, that is getting printed, and after that the print stack trace method is getting called. So it will print the particular stack trace, whatever the errors are thrown in the particular try block, that will get printed here. So that's how we will handle exceptions using a try catch block. Now let us see another program. Now let us see a program in which we are using try and finally together. So you don't need to always have a catch block when you are using try. You can have a finally block. So the finally block is used to execute a statement. Even if the error throws, it will execute. So here in the finally block, I am just printing a message. Finally block called, finally called, like that message I am printing. And let us see the output of this program to understand how the try finally block is working. So here you can see the output. This finally is getting called even if the exception is thrown. Here you can see the exception is thrown, but still the finally block will always execute. That is about finally block. So the finally block will always execute even if the error throws. And if you are terminating with using system.exit or some methods, at that time only the finally block will not execute. Well, let us see another program based on try catch and finally. Now let us see a program in which all the try, catch and finally block, all three blocks are using. So here in this program, I am creating a null pointer error as well as an interrupted exception. Both exceptions will be thrown in this kind of program. So simply I'm trying to use the contains method, which is accessing to a null point null reference. So it will throw a null pointer error exception. And another thing to understand here is the thread dot sleep method, which will throw a checked exception, here you can see interrupted exception it will throw. So both exceptions I am catching using a pipe symbol. So I discussed in the theoretical class that we can use the pipe symbol to catch multiple exceptions in the same line. And one more thing to remember is if there are, for example, there is a relationship in between these classes in exception classes. There are some exception classes are the subclasses of the particular exception classes. So in that scenario, the specific class should be placed in multi catch block conditions. The specific class should be placed above the generic class. So for example, exception is the most generic class, so that should be placed last, and other classes should be placed above the particular exception class. So if you don't do that, the compiler will throw you an error stating that the specific exception should be placed first, then the generic exception. So that's how about placing the exceptions in the particular catch block. And the next finally block is there. In the finally block, before finally block, I want to tell you about a method get message. So here I am printing the get message. So get message will exactly tell what is the particular error is due to. That will return you the error message, what is the error message is due to. It will not have any other line number, all the things will be removed, only the particular error message will be printed. So we will see how the output will come. And in the finally block we have put some comment so that to know that finally block will always execute. Usually finally block is used to close the buffers or close the files, and so that even if the program terminates abruptly, it should not affect our code. Now let us see the output of this program. So here you can see this finally block is getting executed, and this particular error message is getting thrown. So the get message will give you the particular error message why that error occurred, and that's it about this program. So in this lecture, we are seeing about different types of catch block and try block and finally block. These blocks are used to handle exceptions. So if exceptions comes, we have to handle manually by giving these particular blocks and handle the exceptions. So using these blocks, we will be able to handle multiple exceptions at the same program, and we have seen the scenarios where multiple exceptions are occurring and we are handled those exceptions. So thank you for watching this lecture. Please continue watching the series. In then I will be back with the next lecture.